Hey guys, David Patrick Green, davidpatrickgreen.com, hackhollywood.com, actorpower.com. Let's talk about feedback. What is feedback? Well, feedback is when you do an audition and you want to know how it went. And so you ask your agent, if you have an agent, if they can ask the casting director or the producer or whomever what they thought of your performance. So everybody wants feedback if you're an actor, and everybody else doesn't want to give it to you. And there's a really good reason for that. And there's a reason why you should really never ask for feedback. Why? Because you'll never know the truth. And also, whatever feedback they give you is probably not something you're going to be able to act upon, because they aren't going to tell you the truth, especially if you're bad. Okay, so let me just run down why it's really hard to get honest feedback and why you don't really want it anyway. So the reason it's really hard to get honest feedback is because everybody is worried about what everybody else says, and everybody is worried about what people are going to do. And so if you do a performance, you think you did great, you didn't get the job, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I was so good, why didn't I get the job? Well, there is no way for anyone to explain to you why you didn't get the job specifically. I mean, you could have been terrible, in which case you had no chance of getting the job, but they aren't going to tell you you were terrible. But let's just say you were really good, like you thought you were really good. Let's say you were really good. Why didn't you get the job? Who knows? You know, there's about 50 other actors that they looked at, and they just thought one of those actors out of the 50 was a better fit than you. So there's no real way to explain that. There's no way to say, well, he was more right for the part than you were. Or, you know, she just happened to look more like what we had envisioned, and you looked too much like the male lead character, and we didn't want a sister-brother thing. We wanted to make sure that it was clear, you know, if you had a romance, you weren't related. So there's just so many possible reasons why you don't get the part that, in fact, it doesn't really have to do with you. It has to do with someone else getting the part, okay? So unless you want to ask, why did that person get the part, which again is not something you can act on, don't bother asking for feedback, because they will never be able to give you the kind of feedback you're looking for, even if they wanted to. Now let me tell you why they don't want to give you feedback is because people are terrified of psycho crazy actors who are like, why didn't I get that? Can you get some feedback? All that is really it's a sign of insecurity. Your job is not to go to get the job. Your job is to do the best you can with the material. So you present yourself as you see the material. If they like it, if they don't like it, you don't have control over that, and you shouldn't worry about that. So when you have the idea to get feedback, it's an instinct you need to not suppress so much as understand why it's not important and why it's not relevant and why even if you got it, it will never be honest. So nobody's ever going to tell you you were really terrible. The way they give you that kind of feedback is they just don't call you in anymore. And if they don't call you in anymore, and I have actually had this happen, especially earlier in my career, where I would go out for something and I didn't even feel that great about it, and you know, the casting director would say, yeah, they weren't that strong. That's, you know, that's their kind word for, you know, you didn't do a good job. But they're not going to come out and say that because, first of all, they don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want to deal with a bunch of actors and their feelings, right? That's just not what they want to deal with. And it's not really something they should have to deal with, okay? Their job is to present people in front of producers, and the producer says, that's the one. Everybody else, it doesn't really matter. It's not that there was anything wrong with them per se, even if there were things wrong with them. It's just they didn't get the job, and that's all that counts. So So long as a casting director keeps bringing you back in over and over, that's good feedback. If they won't bring you in anymore, then that is poor feedback, and you need to do something to address it. But there's not something they can tell you specifically, you need to do more of this, you need to do more of that. You know, I know sometimes we want to know just what we should have done. Like, well, I really needed them to yell in this section. I really needed them to cry in this section. Well, if you can't figure it out from the material when you should have yelled and when you should have cried, then telling you after the fact isn't going to help you. So the whole feedback thing, even though it's a thing, like people say, oh, I want to get some feedback, I will get some feedback, because agents will tell you that, I'll get some feedback. But whatever comes back to you is really not going to be truthful probably, or at least not the whole truth. And it's probably not going to be helpful, meaning it's not actionable. It's not something you can do anything about in the future. Like they can't say, you're a bad actor, so be a better actor. What can you do with that? You should know if you are a good actor because people probably have told you you're a good actor, and you know that you're really into the scene when you're doing it. So you probably have a sense if you're a decent actor or not. And if you get brought in more than once by the same casting director, then they think you're passable. You're worth bringing in. So that's the only kind of feedback you really need. But in general, spend less time thinking about feedback and more time working on your craft and working on relationships and learning about how the business operates. Because once you understand how it operates, you'll understand how futile it is to ask for things like feedback. So anyway, guys, it's not something you should worry about. What you should focus on is really just working hard at developing your craft so that when you see material, you can just read it and you see, okay, this is what's going on. I get it. Now I'm just going to insert myself into this little miniature story, which is a scene. It's a story, beginning, middle, end. And I'm just going to see where my instincts take me, given the facts. And that's all you really need to worry about, is getting really, really good at doing that as quickly as possible. So that's my feedback on feedback. If you like this, please like it, give me the thumbs up. Please share it with your friends, colleagues, cohorts, and classmates, and subscribe to my channel so you can get more awesome videos like this. I will talk to you soon.